means hi. I don't know what he means. Yeah, that's how you learn a language, right? That's what I learned from Dominic. So I'm the evaluator for Dominic for his second project, Organize Your Speech. And the objective for this speech is that you select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech. You make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. You use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to another, and you create a strong opening and conclusion. So I'm going to focus on each of these objectives when I'm giving my evaluation to Dominic. So the first point, whether Dominic gave a speech that's easy to understand and follow. So in my opinion, when I was listening to his speech, the outline for his speech is very clear. So he has a very clear opening. The topic would be talking about how you acquire language. And then he gives 3 very actionable points for us to learn and then follow through in order to acquire a language, which is using a language learning app, making it a habit, and also practice, practice, and practice. So with the use of the slides, which already outline all 3 points, he also have a very strong structure, beginning with like the title of each structure when he begins the section in his speech. So you know that he's already moving to the next point when he's giving the speech. And also he also makes use of repetition, which makes us very easy to follow. So in this section, he keeps mentioning like language learning app, or like you make it a habit, you do it over and over, you incorporate it into your subway ride, and then you practice with your friends. And then, so I would give him praise on this. He did a very good job on this objective. And then the next objective would be whether he gave a very clear message, supporting with material directly contributing to the message. So for the same reason, because he has a very clear outline, his message is very clear. And he also pointed out from the beginning why people defer learning languages. So he could tackle each of these reasons. So it might be difficult, people might think it's time consuming, but then when you go into the speech, he gives you examples why this is not as difficult as you thought, and then why, sorry for that, it's fine, and why you don't need like tons of time, you don't have to spend years, you only have to spend 30 minutes a day, 36 hours, for 34 hours for the whole language course for a semester. And also he gives very clear suggestions, very actionable recommendation, which makes his message even clearer. He gave suggestions for each of the single points that he has given. So this part here has completed it like with flying color. And then the third objective for this speech, whether he used appropriate transition. So again, he used very clear transition because he has a very clear structure in the speech. And then he first has his opening. He gives the reason why we should learn a language, and then he paved the way to the content. And then afterwards, he used like numbers to tie out the content. So like first thing, like we should use the language learning app, and then second, we should make it a habit. So like these numbers provide us a very clear transition. What I would suggest, in my opinion, is to vary the transition a little bit by not only using the number, but then you also could use some rhetorical question before you jump into the next section. Such as like after you mention about the language learning app, you might say, so how even if you use a language learning app, if you don't make it a habit, you wouldn't be able to really learn the language and incorporate it and make it become your own knowledge. So like such a rhetorical question can help you to move on to the next section. And the fourth objective would be whether he has a very strong opening or conclusion. So for strong opening, he definitely has grabbed everyone's attention. Because like he used the foreign language. Like some people understand it, but then it's like out of the context, it's not English, so like you immediately have the attention. And some people don't understand it and it's like, oh, what are you talking about? But what I would suggest here is that you could make the foreign language section shorter so that for the people who know about it, they know what you're talking about. And when you move on to say it in English again, it's repeating the same message. For the people who don't understand it, like you don't understand from the beginning. So like even if you say like 3 versus 5 sentences, it doesn't make a difference to them. So like that might be a better use of time if you make that section shorter. And then for ending, you wrap up the 3 points. You ask us a lot of questions to really think about is it that hard? Like the benefit really outweighs the cost or like your effort. So it is really convincing. And then also you use a very good analogy saying that language is a roadmap of culture. So I feel it's a very great ending. It's very well thought out. It's very obvious that you put a lot of thoughts in that. And then regarding so I think Dominic did a very good job in making his speech very relatable, humorous, and a lot of key takeaways that are very useful. Thank you.